Offensively, I think a couple of things happened. C.J. Stroud got comfortable, which was only going to happen with time. But you have to remember that this kid hadn't thrown a pass in college football into that Minnesota game. So he just needed to build some comfortability and some confidence there, and it seems like he's done that. But also, he's gotten healthier from whatever shoulder ailment that was, hurting him those first couple of weeks and really impacting him as a thrower. So it starts there. Him getting healthy and getting more confident has allowed Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Jeremy Ruckert, and Travion Henderson, and that long list of weapons that Ohio State has on offense to basically, put themselves in a position where they might be the best offense in college football. And from a statistical standpoint, they're up there with what LSU was in 2019 and in Alabama last season. And then defensively, obviously, Kerry Combs is no longer calling the plays. They've put that workload on Matt Barnes now, but it's more of a collaborative effort. He more handles the passing game as maybe a passing game coordinator on defense, while Larry Johnson, the defensive line coach there, handles more of the run game stuff. But stuff like that, they've also just figured out who their best players are. But yeah, a lot has changed in the conversation around Ohio State from where they were after the Oregon game, even after the Tulsa game, to where they are right now, where they might be the second best team in the country.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the defense, because friends of mine who follow the Buckeyes, I mean, they were angry. They were ready to throw this guy overboard, and obviously they threw him halfway. How would you characterize the defense right now?
I think it's good enough, and that's really all it has to be. I think that was always going to be the case this year. Can this defense be enough to not get in the way of what this offense wants to do? And over the last couple of weeks, they've done that. Yes, they've dominated at times, but it was Akron, it was Maryland, it was Rutgers, it was an Indiana team who was playing with a walk-on quarterback for most of the night. So they haven't played anybody yet to let you know if any of what we've seen over the last couple of weeks here is real for this defense. But if they're anything like that when they get on the field with Penn State on Saturday, or when they go to Michigan to play them or play Michigan State or in a Big Ten title game, then this defense can clearly be enough to allow this offense, who has shown that they're going to put up 35 to 40 points on anybody, they can't get in the way of that. That's all it has to be.
Yeah, and Stephen, I don't want to bury the lead. You said it a minute ago in comparing this offense to the last two SEC champions, LSU and Alabama, and those are epic, historic offenses, I should say. Break this thing down for us, because, I mean, you mentioned half a dozen players, and you still could add a few more based on what I'm seeing.
Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are probably the best two wide receivers in the country, and we knew that coming into the season, or at least in that conversation. I think the big difference maker for them has been Jackson Smith-Njigba, who has allowed this offense to be in a situation where they might have 3,000-yard receivers. They're all at 30-plus receptions, all over 500 yards, and all got 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns this season, and we're only to the halfway point. So it starts there. But then Jeremy Ruckert is one of the better tight ends in the country, who, because he plays for Ohio State, he gets underutilized. That Indiana game where he had 5 catches and 2 touchdowns is one of the better games of his career, because he just got used more. But Travion Henderson, that kid he's looking like the second coming of Maurice Clarett out there. He's 4 touchdowns away from breaking Clarett's single-season record for most touchdowns by a true freshman in Ohio State history. He's been everything he's been advertised to be and more as the former number 1 running back in the 2021 recruiting class. That's a lot of weapons, and now you're just asking a first-year starting quarterback who's getting more confident by the day and more confident by the game to just get these guys the ball in an efficient and a quick manner, and he's starting to do that. C.J. Stroud is quickly turned into a guy who might break some of Dwayne Haskins' records and put himself in the Heisman Trophy conversation, which this is a lot of hyperbolic conversation, I know that, but that's just where this offense has maybe developed into. It came down to, is C.J. Stroud going to be ready for this moment, and are these weapons going to live up to what their hype was? And that's happening right now.
Talking to Stephen Means about the Buckeyes. Stephen, you mentioned the Penn State game, but it's really later in the season that Buckeye fans, I think, are more concerned about. Whoever comes out of Michigan and Michigan State, and it's hard to believe we're even having this conversation. So give us the lowdown, the skinny on that game this Saturday in East Lansing, and who comes out of it and what it means to the team you cover.
Yeah, I think with Michigan State more than Michigan, we're going to find out what's real. I know some people think Kenneth Walker is one of the favorites for the Heisman Trophy because he's 3 yards away from 1,000 yards. in his first year there, and Peyton Thorne has looked pretty good, and they've got some quality wide receivers there as well. And Jalen Reed, Jalen Naylor, and Trey Mosley. So they've got quality weapons as well. But Michigan State hasn't played anybody, and this will be their first time playing against a team of like where the talent is equated a little bit. So we're going to find out a little bit if what we've seen the first couple of weeks here is real for Michigan State or not, or if it's just they're taking advantage of a favorable schedule. While with Michigan, the question every single week is going to be, is Cade McNamara still going to be the starting quarterback by the time they play Ohio State? Because right now, Michigan is very run-heavy. They're pretty much one-dimensional, and they've got a lot of running backs led by Blake Corum there. But Cade McNamara is not going to be the guy who's going to put up the necessary points to beat Ohio State. But they do have a true freshman five-star quarterback by the name of J.J. McCarthy, who might be that missing piece of this offense that allows it to not be so one-dimensional. So as every week goes by, that's the only question that's on the mind for Ohio State fans as they watch Michigan play is, okay, can Ohio State stop the run? But more importantly, is J.J. McCarthy ever going to be Michigan's starting quarterback this year? So that's something that needs to be watched for. Is Michigan State real? We're going to find that out. Are they really the number 8 team in the country, or has this all been just a little fraudulent? While with Michigan, it's how many more weeks until Jim Harbaugh understands that J.J. McCarthy is going to have to be the quarterback that plays if they want to compete with Ohio State.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.